This one comes out of Keynes, United Kingdom. A dog mauled a 4-year-old girl to death in Milton Keynes was a family pet which was put down by the police at the house. I looked through this and I did find a lot of what I thought was discrepancies and maybe even a cover-up in this. Thames Valley police officers were called to the house in Broadlands, Netherfield just after 5 p.m. where Alice had later died. The dog was destroyed by armed officers, police officers said on an update Wednesday. After being called to the dog attack, armed police raided the home and are believed to have cornered the dog inside of the home. A thing I want you all to really remember on this is the dog was in the house. Okay, just remember that. It's going to be important here in a minute. The dog, you'll see what I'm talking about. Thames Valley Police has said that no arrests have been made as they continue to investigate the attack. Locals left flowers outside of the house on Wednesday, while neighbors described Alice's mother's desperate screams as her child was killed by the animal, which they claim was bought about 6 weeks ago. A neighbor said, "I heard she's dead. She's dead." A neighborhood said, "They'll stay with me forever. It was a nightmare. I'm heartbroken. They will haunt me." A neighbor and mother of 4, Rita Matthews, 36 years of age, said, "I always saw the little girl on the way to school with her mom because she is the same age as my daughter. I heard screams of the little girl coming from the garden, but I didn't know what was going on." A little bit of the discrepancy started showing itself whenever I started reading the police reports and everything. First, the animal was said to have been cornered in the house, and later the little girl is heard screaming and attacked in the garden, allegedly. Lots of police cars turned up and were all told to stay inside. I then saw on Facebook what had happened, and I was shocked. Again, if the dog was cornered in the home and dispatched inside of the house, why were the residents told to stay in their homes? But then you have the little girl in the garden screaming that the neighbors heard. I had never heard any dog noises coming from the house before, and I don't think they even had a dog of their own. I feel so sad because I have 4 children and I feel for the little girl's mother. This was very close neighbors that knew this couple. Never seen or heard a dog there. They were sure they didn't have any dogs there. Their little girls went to school together, and the little girl had never spoke to her about even having a dog. We know kids talk about having dogs, especially if it's a new dog that they had bought. In my opinion, she would want to show it off or at least talk about it or tell her, "Hey, I got a new dog." A neighbor whose children go to school with Alice told The Sun the residents were instructed by the police to stay inside in case the dog escaped. Again, if the dog was dispatched inside of the house, how could the dog still be a threat? She said that they never mentioned her dog to her kids either. Another female neighbor said that her kids also played along with the little girl and the dog was never mentioned. They had never seen a dog, never heard a dog bark or anything. An officer allegedly warned, "If this dog gets out, somebody's going to get hurt." At 5:30 p.m., I heard police cars coming down the street. When I took outside, there were lots of police. "I've never seen or heard a dog bark coming from the house," stated another neighbor. "I didn't even know they had a dog." Our police officers remain at the scene of this extremely tragic incident, which has shocked the whole family and the whole city. If anyone wants to speak to our officers, please feel free to approach them with any questions or concerns that you may have. He said the investigation was continuing at pace and urged anyone with information to help investigation to come forward. Nobody even knew they had a dog. The dog was allegedly dispatched in the house. The little girl was heard screaming in the garden, and then they're asking people to help them try to figure this out. No arrests have been made in the connection to this incident, and no one else was injured, the police said. The girl's death came hours after an inquest was told that a 28-year-old dog walker, Natasha Johnston, died of multiple penetrating bites to her neck after being mauled by 8 dogs. She was walking in a Sure beauty spot on the 12th of January. No dogs have even been found or believed of any animals in the area have even been picked up for this incident. It is listed as an unknown canine attack. Crowds gathered at the vigil held for Alice on Wednesday and prayers were said for the family as people held candles in the darkness in a green space in the rear of the place of worship. There were moments of reflection as the music was played over speakers, including Amazing Grace and Over the Rainbow. Donna Fuller, a ward counselor for the Wooten Community Council, said the area has a tight-knit community, predominantly families. She said the vigil was to enable the community to come together and to draw strengths from each other. A large police security force was present at the vigil to make sure everyone was safe, even though the animals they thought done this was dispatched. But there was a large police security was present. Ms. Fuller added, "It will send a strong message to the family that we are thinking of them." She said there is such a sense of shock, and it is an awful situation. She told gathered crowds the family will need time and space to allow them to process this tragic event, as I hope that it can help them in the future. I would ask that we support each other. There is a feeling of deep sadness that we will feel as a community, so I ask you to be neighborly and to ask you to supportive, and most of all, I ask you to be kind. The police have asked the community to be on standby and to be aware of potential deadly predator in the area, to be cautious in the mornings and in the evening hours. So they dispatched the animal in the house. It wasn't in the garden. The little girl was screaming in the garden and she was killed. They're saying they took care of the creature, but yet you need to be careful in the mornings and evenings because it's not safe if there's a predator on the loose. Today, a heavy police presence was in the area, but the creature's dead. Police are believed to be making house-to-house inquiries, and earlier today, a blue forensic tent was sent in the garden. So they're processing a crime scene in the garden. The house is where it was supposed to have happened. The police are going house to house now, and the inquiries are asking us if people have heard anything out of the ordinary on any of the nights leading up to the attack. The force said the dog was humanely destroyed after the attack. Again, the dog was supposed to have been shot to death by an officer inside of the house that cornered it. They said no one else was hurt in the attack. No arrests have been made in the investigation, but Superintendent Matt Bullivant said, "This is an absolutely tragic incident in which we believe that a child has been killed after being attacked by what we believe to be a canine." The end of the report states that the little girl was killed by an unknown canine. No canines have been found at this point that are responsible for the death, but yet they killed the dog in the house. They are cautioning the whole neighborhood to be on standby, as there has been reports of other noises in the neighborhood that have not been substantiated. They're asking everyone to stay inside their houses in the late evenings, nights, and mornings and report any unusual noises to police immediately. I think, guys, that pretty much wraps up this story. I think you guys get where it's going. A lot of holes in it, a lot of loopholes in it. They're hiding it. It's frustrating. This little girl deserves her story told. But I would say something that they don't even know of canine nature attacked her, killed her in the garden. And they're just trying to do damage control to make everybody in the neighborhood feel comfortable. The large police presence in the area tells me that they're hunting whatever it is. They're asking neighbors, they're inquiring to the neighbors. If they knew what it was and they killed it, there'd be no reason to do that. They'll hunt it down themselves and try to take care of it, while on the other hand, trying to keep people calm, kind of like the right hand doesn't see what the left hand's doing. They're good at doing those kind of things. It's called damage control. They have professionals that talk to the media, that are good at talking to the media, that are trained to talk to the media to put out the narrative. But guys, I just wanted to share this one with you. I thought it was important. I have one more coming up on Miss Hamilton. I think it's really going to blow your minds. There was a 911 call a few days before she was killed, and you're not going to believe what they were saying. So stay tuned for that one, guys. As always, oh, the PayPal. A lot of you have stepped up and really started hitting the PayPal. I wanted to thank you all so much for that. It helps so much. We're using that to do some more adventures, and I want to thank everybody for doing that. Y'all have really stepped up and started hitting that. The support is amazing. Thank you so very much for everything. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's meal, and we'll see you on the next one.